Hello, friends. We're back again. Welcome to Fightful Overbooked. It's time for Hits and Misses. It's the weekly show where myself and my pal Drew, we talk about the top 5 hits and misses of the week, and then we're going to tell you who our favorite wrestler is. Everything's subjective, nothing matters. But Drew, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's great to be here on the very first hit or miss on Fightful Overbooked. This is one of my most anticipated things I've ever done, so I'm really excited for it.
Me too. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And you know what? If your top 5 matches our top 5, or maybe it doesn't, leave a comment. And in the comments section, let us know what your top 5 hits or misses of the week were. Doesn't matter which company it is. It could be WWE, it could be AEW, it could be NXT, it could be NXT UK. Maybe it's Impact. Maybe it's a Ring of Honor rewatch that you did. Let us know what your top 5 was. And maybe let us know who your favorite wrestler was, because every week it's going to change. Drew, are you ready to talk about our top 5 hits of the week?
I am. Let's get it done.
Let's go to it. Number 5, we'll alternate you and I. I'm going to go. Number 5 was Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay for the TBS Championship on Rampage this past Friday night. I think the match was well beyond expectation. I think both women showed out in a way that people were not anticipating, and there were a lot of really good segments that and sequences that made that match a lot of fun. And also, John Silver and Mark Sterling at ringside made this match even better. What about you? What do you think?
That was I did really enjoy that match. It was better than I had thought it was going to be, and I think I'm a little sad I didn't put that on my list now. But it's you know what? All
That's why
right,
there's 2 of us.
that's why there's two of us exactly. So
Go ahead. Number 5 for you.
number 5 for me is the KO show from Raw
Okay.
because I absolutely love Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens together. They make me laugh genuinely, and I hated a lot of Seth's iteration after the whole authority angle from 3 years ago. But there's something about the dancing, like the way he comes out. I really feel like he practices that at home. Like it almost seems too perfect.
Yep.
And the dynamic between him and Kevin is hilarious to me, and I want them to be tag team champions soon.
I'm picturing Seth dancing with his baby like that, and that's how he gets the
Yes.
dance moves.
Yeah, that they have to be doing that.
Yeah, and then Becky's just like watching them and either being like, "You're both idiots," or being like, "No, no, no, you have to do it like this," and that's how he gets the dance moves every week. And then KO is somewhere just like on FaceTime, being like, "Why am I watching this garbage?"
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn on you eventually.
Yeah, exactly. So KO show was not on my list, but I agree it was a fun segment this week. So there we go. Number 4, I think this one's going to surprise a lot of people. I really enjoyed the Dante Chen segment from NXT 2.0 this past week. I think Dante Chen is not only a really good wrestler coming in, but also has a story to tell. And the story that they let him tell is very true to life. He did legitimately get injured in training. He did legitimately go home to his home in Singapore, and was with his father in his last days. And his dad was his number 1 fan. So the story that they can tell and the emotion that they can get from Dante Chen in that segment, that really worked for me. I think there are some things, big things ahead for Dante Chen in NXT and potentially WWE in the future. Drew, reactions, or do you want to just go ahead?
I did see that. I was very moved by that. I thought that was one of the better things I've seen on NXT 2.0, just to have that natural type of character building, putting in a real life story, and hopefully, I'm hoping that that leads to good things for Dante Chen because I think he actually is a very good wrestler.
There you go. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Britt Baker and Adam Cole and Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy from Dynamite. That match is special to me because I actually personally feel, I don't know if you feel this way, but I think that Adam Cole is one of Orange Cassidy's best feuds in AEW. And I think it's because, for me, the comedy of Orange Cassidy works with Adam Cole because Adam Cole can play comedy and serious. And now with the addition of Britt Baker, I think they're probably the best couple on TV right now because they know how to find the cameras and they know how to make it entertaining. And that's probably the best way to get me to like something is to make it entertaining.
So you and I have finally matched up. You had this on your number 4 slot. This was my number 2 slot of hits for the
Oh,
week.
okay.
So that Cole Baker Statlander Orange Cassidy match that made my number 2. The match was well put together. It was fun. It was different too because we've seen a lot of this whole best friends versus the elite, whatever they're calling themselves, Paragon or not. I don't know what the name is. We've seen a lot of it, and some of it's getting real cold. But I think this past week they did a lot of good to
Hmm.
make me get reinvested in the story. And I'm glad that they didn't go the route of Statlander pinning Baker once again and having some sort of build up to a beach break match. No, they instead, yes, it was Orange Cassidy getting pinned. I don't love that because they keep doing it. But I was a big fan of the match as a whole. Adam Cole being just being pissed off in a match hasn't happened, and
Hmm.
this was the first opportunity for
Yeah.
us to see him get really upset over something. And it's perfect that it is him being upset over his girlfriend getting pushed into a table,
Yeah. Great
which is
spot.
his fault. Like it's their fault. So that was my number 2 of the week. Why don't you go ahead, give me your number 3, and then I'll give you my number 3.
Okay. Now my number 3, I I was gonna have lower on my list, but then Rampage happened, and we'll get to what my number 2 is after this. Um, but oh boy, I have a big one for number 3. Number 3, you might I don't know, we're gonna this might be one of those moments. Number 3 for me, the Cody Rhodes promo on Dynamite.
I didn't even list that promo. So go ahead, give me your thoughts. Let's hear it. And then if I really feel like rebutting, I will. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, I understand that this is not for everyone. I feel like I'm kind of an anomaly. Uh, I am completely fine with multiple things that happened in this promo that maybe a lot of people wouldn't be fine with. For example, breaking kayfabe aspect of it, like the saying the business terms heel and all that stuff. Personally, to me, I don't mind. Actually, I kind of like it. I can separate wrestling from all other aspects of entertainment in my head. So obviously, I'm not going to want to watch the newest Spider-Man movie and have, a segment, in between Spider-Man and his rival where he is calling him Tom Holland. Obviously, that's something I can separate from wrestling. That's something I don't want. But um, the thing about this promo that really hit with me was a lot of it was rooted in truth.
Okay.
And he listed off what CM Punk said in the pipe bomb in 2011. He was right in a way where he says he is the one that really broke that mold, got out of the monopoly, and became somewhat of a forbidden door for wrestling, going to ROH, going to New Japan. And the other big thing about this that I really, really loved the most was teaching us with this TNT title lineage that a title doesn't have to have the word world in it in order for it to be important. Because for a long time in another place, it feels like that was the thing. And I mean, you can really even see it now because where's the Intercontinental Championship? And yes, it's on somebody who's injured, I understand, but you know, it hasn't been featured at all. You would probably even forget that Shinsuke Nakamura is the Intercontinental Champion. Um, And for a while, the United States title wasn't as, I feel, as important as it is kind of right now with Damian Priest holding it. So, the Gunnar McGillibuddy thing too, that was just
Fair.
it was
Yeah,
a fair criticism for what was going on that week, which we'll also get to later.
absolutely.
So yeah, so that was why that was number 3 for me.
Okay. Um, I don't have much to say because I didn't list it. It didn't feel to me uh as good of a promo. I think a lot of people are trying to reach to find reasons to make it great. Whereas at face value, the way that the promo felt to me was Cody saying a lot of things without saying anything and then saying that's why we're going to have a ladder match for the TNT title, which was absolutely like out of left field. It was, all this kind of inside baseball Cody talk, and then and that's why we're gonna have a match this Wednesday at Beach Break. That didn't work for me, but again, I understand why other people want to make the plea that there was more to it than what I think it is. I'm taking it at face value. Others will look more into it, and I get that.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, I totally understand if it's not somebody's cup of tea. So I
Exactly.
totally get it.
So let's move on. That was your number three. My number three, I know, is going to be diametrically opposed to yours. Vince McMahon and Austin Theory on Monday Night Raw.
Mm.
Now,
Hmm.
the irony of this and everything that I just said about reaching is I've mentioned this before on other platforms. Vince McMahon absolutely knows and is understanding of the character he has become, or the caricature of himself that he has become to wrestling fans and to wrestlers and people who tell stories about Vince, to the point where I think he's basically said, that's the way they think about me. Then let's show them what I am. Let's show them who I am. And instead,
You have
you're
to be
just
a little
getting
bit
these.
more unintelligible for that.
Yeah, I can't garble as much. I just think that he is very much playing into something that he knows he isn't fully necessarily that person, but I think he's just kind of overacting it, just like the Mr. McMahon character would, as a way to kind of tell fans, you think I don't know, but I do know. At least when it comes to like his the understanding that the wrestling fans have of him as a human being. And so I think he's just playing into that. And Austin Theory, say what you will about him, he's making a pretty good opposite to the crazy old Mr. McMahon. And I think that's working. Austin Theory's matches aren't necessarily working for me as much, but you can work on that. You can get opponents with chemistry, and that can be built. But that's how I feel about Vince and Austin Theory this week on Raw. It's my number 3.
Well, and you mentioned that because I also have Vince McMahon and Austin Theory on a list, but it's not my hits list. And it's actually, funny enough, number 3 on my
Yes,
missos.
yes. Go ahead, tell me why.
Um, oh my God. So, it's 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 so, first of all, like I said, just totally, it's just unintelligible rambling for me. Like don't really say this that much, and I know I probably don't think I've even said it to you personally, but I have hearing loss, so I already can't hear very well. So when Vince comes on screen and he's sitting there in whatever office they're in that week, he just totally can't hear him. I can't hear him at all. So it's just, really, I just can't hear a word. Even sometimes, and I don't know if you watch things with closed captioning. I do because of my hearing loss. Sometimes the closed captioning can't even figure it out.
It just says unintelligible
It's
yelling, unintelligible old man ranting.
um, and to be honest with you, as you said, say what you will about Austin Theory. There's stuff out there that we won't get into here, but um, I have seen Austin Theory in person. I have met Austin Theory in person. Um, he seems like a decent guy, but I'm not getting the dynamic between him, and it's interesting because you kind of like the dynamic between him and Vince, but I do not like the dynamic at all.
Okay.
I think it just, especially this past Monday, where it was shot in this weird campy way of like, he's
Yeah,
doing, like when he's mentioning how he's gonna do a bunch of gory stuff to a theory, and then like the way he's just like going back in his chair with these these like over exaggerated facial expressions. It doesn't work for me. That just didn't work for me at all.
there we go. Hey, it works. You know what? That's fine with me. Let's move on. We already know my number 2 on the top. So, what's your number 2 on the top 5?
My number 2, which booted the Cody Rhodes promo to number 3, was Trent Beretta and Nick Jackson on Rampage.
Okay.
I am not a New Japan person. Like I've seen a few stuff from there. So I don't know the history of all these things, but the video package that they did on Dynamite for what was supposed to be Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero versus the Young Bucks was excellent. And that really got me heavily invested in this because I love history playing into a match, where two teams or two opponents have history in prior places, and then they come and it just becomes, it adds more to me for a match. And but of course, obviously, Rocky Romero was unfortunately unable to participate, so they just made it Nick Jackson and Trent Beretta, or Beretta, depending on who
Thank
you
you.
talk to.
Thank
Trent
you.
Beretta. It's a
Yep.
New York thing, Joel. It's a New York
Sure it is. Sure it is.
thing. um, so yeah, so like this type of wrestling, my chef's kiss. Like it was so perfect, because they know each other so well, as we just discussed of history, and the finish was not what I expected. I thought that Nick Jackson was going to go over because of it not being the tag team match that it was originally supposed to be. So Trent getting the win surprised me, and it was wonderful. It was a great match.
So this match didn't make my list. However, I'll add a couple of notes of color. I like the fact that these two had never had a singles match before. And I like that AEW draws attention to that stuff. That's neat. I also enjoyed the finish. And I like that Trent got the win. And it made sense to me
Yeah,
because you just keep pinning members of the best friends. And for the first time in a while, they switched it up. They had best friends get a win, and it's largely inconsequential, but it's a singles win in a moment that Nick Jackson's not used to running singles matches and winning. So to me, it made sense. Trent just came back. He's on a tear. Keep giving him wins. Keep building him, even
yeah,
as a single star at work. So
yeah.
let's move to number 1. I think we're both going to have number 1 at the same spot. My number 1 was the Mox promo from Dynamite. Are we in the same spot or no? We are.
We are. We are. I'm glad we are.
A venue that heard a pin drop, a promo that had so much rooted in it, and it really felt like they just said, "Go ahead and say whatever the hell you want, John. It's your time. Take as much of it as you need." And even dropping an F bomb. Listen, I don't care if someone was yelling from the crowd. Dropping an F bomb still made it extra memorable and extra important. So I really enjoyed the promo. I'll let you rant a little bit more about why you liked it.
Well, yes, and folks, we did not plan this, by the way. We did not plan this. So
It had to be this way. It
it
had
had
to
to
be
be.
this way.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not telling each other what our things are, so this is gonna be a big surprise every week, and I'm glad that it's like that. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, dropping the F-bomb, because it was unfortunate in the moment because of what transpired for that to happen, but I agree with you, it did just add to this promo because it didn't phase him. And I think that, based off of what this promo ended up being about the demon, the black cloud, it's almost like as if the person up above was trying to be what he was describing in his dream. And he was saying, go F yourself. And we didn't know that at the time, but of course, with hindsight now, you look back and you go, wow, yeah, it was almost like that was supposed to happen. And it was emotional. He looks amazing. He
Yeah.
looks amazing. I was totally like blown away by what, I think it was about 2 months he was out, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And just totally getting sober, and he looks like he de-aged about 8 to 10 years.
Yeah. No, he looked great. He really did. He looked like he had, lost a physical weight and lost an emotional weight. And that was clear as day when you saw him come out.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that. And even just to add a little bit more color, going into that match that he had on Rampage against Ethan Page, he comes out, he wins, and then he has the face-to-face with Bryan Danielson. And we don't need to get too far into it here because we're on a time crunch, but that is something I think we're all looking forward to, is Danielson and Mox renewing what should have been leading into that world title eliminator tournament.
Yeah.
Let's move on. We got to do our top 5 misses, but you won't miss us every week here on Hits or Misses, every Saturday morning, afternoon, whenever the hell we release it. I don't know anymore. Leave us a thumbs up here on this video. And you know what? Give us your comments. Let us know if you agree, if you disagree, if you have a different top 5, stuff you would have added, subtracted. Let us know in the comments. Let's move on. Top 5. My first bad top 5 bad. Jensen and Caden Carter, their high school crush on NXT. It's done. I don't need it. Just get it over with. Have sex. I don't care. It doesn't. I don't understand what we're doing here. I don't love what we're doing here. Briggs and Jensen lose a match, and then immediately Caden and Casey are like, hey, let's go to the party and drink and have fun. And they're like, okay. They should be down in the dumps, man. They should be a little more upset that they lost. I don't love what's going on here. I hate it. Go ahead.
I really don't have much to say on this because I haven't paid attention to it at all.
Good. Fine, let's move along. Let's
We're moving along. My number 5 miss was actually the Becky Lynch Doudrop versus Liv Morgan Bianca match on Raw. Yes, we've discussed this already, but can they coexist?
I have a video somewhere.
I know.
Posted, I'm sure.
I tried to imitate you since you're actually in the spot in that video.
That's right.
No, because people generally can't. And please stop. Please stop. It's just bad. The match itself felt very this move into this move, and specifically like Liv waiting for an elbow into a drop kick at one point, and it's just like, look, I love Liv. I like pretty much everybody involved in this match, particularly Bianca. But man, the whole convoluted booking with Liv and Becky, and then Bianca and Becky, and Doudrop just getting added just because, and also, if you're here in the comments, you can just tell Joel, how terrible his stuff that ends up coming right sometimes is.
I knew it was happening. I just knew it was Doudrop, and it made sense to me because Becky, I'm just going to say this, Becky has beaten both Bianca and Liv, but they also gave her a test, and therefore she took Bianca out because it's going to be a Mania match. Anyway, go ahead. If you have anything to add to that, stop it. If you're done with that, I'll move on, because that was actually my number 4. So that's perfect.
Oh, okay.
That's a perfect segue. So we don't have to spend too much time on it. The can they coexist angle is exactly as it is. I think it works, but it doesn't work every single pay-per-view cycle. And I've made reference to this multiple times. Can you do it? Yes, you can, but you cannot do it every single month. And WWE has made a habit of it. It should be maybe at most once a quarter, but instead they've decided to make it the trope for at least one storyline every pay-per-view cycle needs to
Yeah.
stop. Let's move on. Number 3. Go ahead. I'll let you do number 3.
Yeah. Well, when we knew my number 4 already was oh, I'm sorry. No. That was my number 3. My number 4, it
Yes.
was my number it was my number 4, but then I moved it to number 3.
Gotcha.
Number 4 for me is the Dan Lambert promo on Dynamite. Woof.
Which one? There were 20 of them.
Oh, well, specifically the one with oh gosh, Lance Archer, the
Okay.
Lance Archer one. I am done. I am done with this guy. Like it's look, I'm American and I do not subscribe to the Dan Lambert version of America. Okay, it's just,
Okay. Yep.
that whole, it's very rooted in political, and maybe he's not even like that in real life. I'm imagining he probably isn't, but it's becoming like a certain yapper out there whom is not favorable.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it at first, but it very quickly, like when he first came in with Ethan and Scorpio. But wow, I just don't need it anymore.
I have nothing else to add. There are weeks where he's good and there are weeks where he's not, and unfortunately there are more weeks where he's not. And I know it's going to be a divisive this one's going to be divisive because some people love Dan Lambert and they see it as a gimmick and other people are just over it. So let's move on. My number 3 is going to be, it's actually a tie from SmackDown. Aaliyah versus Natty and Charlotte versus Naomi. I'm doing this from the match perspective. Both matches did not work for me. Both stories are going absolutely nowhere. And we won't go on with the Naomi and Sonya stuff because that's a whole other can of worms. But those two matches they did nothing with them. They DQ finished both of DQ and screw finished both of them. It doesn't work for me. Do better. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, it's interesting that you say that we're not going to go into that again because I have that on my list.
There we go. Where is it on your list? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Sonya, is it specifically Sonya and Naomi?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
we'll get back to that and we'll do that as its own. Give me your number 3.
My number 3 was Vince.
Right.
And Austin Theory. Yeah.
Perfect. So we can move on. Number 2 for me was the AHFO segment from Dynamite. Talking about Dan Lambert, you know what I want them to do? I want Dan Lambert to get a stake in this. I want them to be the AHFO, the awful, because this is what this segment is, and this is what Hardy Family Office has become. I don't need Andrade mixing it up with Matt Hardy. I don't love it. I don't need it. I'm ready to move on. It's bouncing the Butcher and the Blade and Private Party off to different people and having them represent different owners, which I do not like.
Yeah.
That is my number 2.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, I mean it's just been the Butcher and the Blade's like deal since coming to AEW. Like they're always with somebody else. I totally agree.
Do not need
to
that.
Stop.
Give me your gimmick. Give me yours.
So my number 2 is Gunther. It's and specifically because of the way that it transpired. Like it just came off so unnatural. Roddy and Walter have a great match on NXT 2.0, and then it's over, and then Walter's getting announced as the winner, and then he's just like, no, the winner of this match is Gunther. Where the heck did that come from? And I'm not getting into the whole that other stuff because that's for something else. That's not for here. This is hits and misses, and that was just like if you're gonna do something like that, make it normally normal looking. It just was not. It was bad, and it almost looked like he wasn't happy in a way saying it himself. It was just like throwing the mic down. But I mean, I don't know, what his
Mhm.
feelings are about it, but it was just bad. I'm not a fan of Gunther.
This was my number one, which is great because we have
Oh
to get to
wow.
number one. Um, what I don't like about it is the man has experience, he has a
Hmm.
name, and he has value. And it's not a question of whether or not WWE can sign the IP because they have done that before with Walter. They did it in the UK, and for them not to bring it to the US feels a little strange to me. So he's going by Gunther now. Whatever that means, that's going to be up to him, up to creative to explain moving forward. I will give that a week. I will see what they say. For all I know, he's going to say I'm fleeing my Austrian heritage because they're trying to kill me. I need to change my name. So I moved to the States, and this is my beautiful wife, Ginny. I don't know. Regardless, I didn't love the name change. The controversy that came with the name change to me became a little bit blown out of proportion, and we don't need to get into that. If you really want my views, there's a podcast on this channel where I'll talk about it later on. But instead, I'll just say that the name change itself wasn't warranted, and just the way they went about it, like you said, didn't really work for me. I think they're trying to make it a hook so that you come back on Tuesday. I understand that, but a lot of people are going to just say, forget it. I'll just wait for socials or someone else will tell me about it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to bring eyeballs to the show. It's just going to bring people being like, well, why? Why should I come back? That's how I feel. Give me
Yeah.
your number one. Let's go.
All right. So number one for me, as I said, Sonya and Naomi. This whole thing is very unfortunate because it does have undertones of certain things, and
No, you can flat out say it.
it
People have said it for a while.
it's effing racist. It is.
It,
It
that,
really is.
go ahead.
Uh,
I
because
agree.
we don't know. We don't know the motivations for this on Sonya's part. Why do you not like Naomi? Why are you never saying why you don't like Naomi? Adam Pearce has questioned, commentary is questioning Naomi herself, and there's no real clear answer to this. So of course it leads one to assume that it's racism.
Yep.
It not only that though, not only is it making Sonya look bad, it's making Naomi look bad because she's just going along with it, really. Like that match on SmackDown yesterday was pitiful. It really was just pitiful. Like if I'm Naomi, right, and I see Sonya come out now, and now she's making herself the referee. I know I'm not winning this match.
Yep.
So what am I even doing in the ring? I'm gonna walk up the ramp. I'm gonna go to Adam Pearce, and you're gonna count me out. And I'm gonna have words with him about this because he seems to kind of be on my side. As we saw later on, he's trying to get now an official match with him. So I'm gonna go to him. I'm not gonna deal with her anymore. Count me out. I don't see. This is the thing about certain booking like this. It that really grinds my gears like a lot. Um, you just because the wrestler is supposed to have a wrestling match, excuse me, you don't have to go through with it. Especially if you know that nothing good is going to come from it. If the person that's going to now make themselves the special referee is not on your side and you know that you're going to get screwed, just walk out. Roll
Yep.
out of the ring, let her count you out, go to who you need to go to. Obviously, this is scripted. It's not, but like, this is what I'm thinking. Like, that's what I'm going to, if I was trying to make a storyline like this, which I wouldn't, I would have already had Sonya explain, this whole reasoning,
Yep.
obviously. I'm gonna be like, okay, you're gonna just roll out of the ring and you're gonna go to Adam Pearce and you're gonna get counted out.
Yeah.
It
Easy
it
as
it
that.
makes her look bad for just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wrestle this match as if I have a chance of even winning. It's like one of those babyface tropes that I'm really, really annoyed with.
I have not much else to add. They could have explained why Sonya has a problem with Naomi. They could have made something up. They could have done literally anything. Instead, they're stringing you along. And originally, I said, okay, I'm going to hope that it's not a case of racism. I don't think. Again, I still don't think, because they're not outwardly putting it out there, but it's hard to not see it that way, because they're dancing around an issue that is a non-issue. And
Mhm.
because of that, it becomes a larger issue. And I don't think they see how tone deaf that is. And if the response is, oh, it's because she doesn't think she's that great, and Naomi thinks she is great, but Naomi, it doesn't work. It doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. Saying you're an extra when you think you're a superstar, that doesn't work for anybody. Because we all know what Naomi's done. We all know what Naomi's about. We all know that she is a very talented wrestler and whatever, a superstar, whatever you want to call her. She deserves to be there, and I don't know why Sonya, of all people, would suddenly have a problem with her.
Hmm.
So I agree with you. It's not my number one, but I fully agree with you as
Yeah.
to why it
Actually,
would
just
be.
had a thought. I'm wondering if maybe she's gonna win the Rumble from this.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
she's going to win
I
the
hope
Rumble,
I
but
I would not hope I would hope not, because it's just gonna make this worse. But yeah, that just like popped into my head right now.
that's our top 5 misses. If you agree with it, awesome. If you don't agree with it, tell us in the comments. Now, Drew, the most important question of the week. Who's your favorite wrestler?
My favorite wrestler this week, based off of promo and in ring, was Jon Moxley.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah, had a great return, had a great match, had a very, very good showing, and you're absolutely right. This week, I think it was Mox's week. There's nothing else I can add to that unless you have.
No, it was the promo was perfect, and I think Ethan Page was a great uh, first match back for him, because Ethan Page is very good. I enjoy Ethan Page a lot, and the match was great. So, and then of course the moment afterwards with Bryan Danielson just makes it even more exciting to see what's coming next.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to doing this with you so much more often. We'll do it weekly. Drew, I had a blast. Let's keep going with it.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Big Money Drew on Twitter, and here every Saturday for Fightful Overbooked, Hit or Miss with Joel and Drew. I'm really excited for this, and let's keep it going.
Hell yeah. I'm at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. We'll be back, youtube.com/Fightful Overbooked. Go find another video to watch. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.